It could be said that our greatest test of courage in life is to merely play the cards we are dealt, to parlay adversity into blessing, and agree to life on its own terms. If this is true, we offer you the extraordinary example of Joshua Holdner. Now 7 years old, he came into the world in the usual way, a seemingly healthy child, only to be engulfed in a rare, life-threatening crisis.
Joshua was born with a very rare liver disease called Tyrosinemia type 1. It's an inborn error of metabolism. One child out of 150,000 who has this disease. Basically, his liver cannot break down amino acid tyrosine. What happens if he gets too much protein, which tyrosine is in, it causes succinylacetone, which is a toxin, to build up, and it could kill him. I would nurse him, and he would nurse for like a second, and he would be full, and then he would spit up, and he had diarrhea, and it was a constant thing every day. I remember when I would try to get Josh to eat anything. So I would sit him in his high chair and give him yogurt. He loved yogurt. And we would be ready for a towel, because as soon as he would eat it, whoosh, it would come out. And because he was teething, I would give him Cheetos. You know those big fat Cheetos? Cheese. The irony of it all is what I was feeding him was killing him.
The newborn screening test for early detection of tyrosinemia was pioneered at Duke. Had Terry given birth to Joshua 1 year later, that test would have been in place.
They would have known his condition so much earlier. He could have probably been diagnosed at birth. He wouldn't have the issues he does now with his growth and his developmental delays and all the other issues he has with his size and his fine motor skills, gross motor skills. But, you know, who knew? It was just meant to be.
Instead, it was a mother's powerful, undeniable instinct which became the driving diagnostic force in Joshua's life.
But something inside of me, I don't know what it was. I just knew something was wrong. Mike and I, my husband and I, were up 24/7 with Joshua.
From my perspective, the journey that we went through, finding what was wrong with Josh, it just seemed like it took forever. I mean, Terry went to pediatrician time after time. Josh had 9 ear infections. It just seemed like he was never getting better. It seemed like he was actually getting worse.
Josh would lay on the floor and after throwing up for hours. You know what I'm saying? He's throwing so much up, but he's not taking anything in. And they're saying, oh, it's the way I'm nursing, and he's just not getting a lot. Then I was going to try to start bottle feeding him. Wouldn't take anything.
You know, I saw it in Terry's eyes, how hard it was.
His body was screaming out. His body was breaking down.
I knew that there was something wrong because I trust Terry 100% with her feelings.
Again, calling the pediatrician on the phone, and I could tell they were just like blowing me off big time.
Terry said that there was something that we needed to look into, and we did.
Relentless to learn the truth, Terry and Mike came to Duke Children's Hospital and Health Center. They found Dr. Gordon Worley, a developmental specialist, and Duke geneticist Dr. Priya Kishnani. And they found hope.
Joshua was picked up a little after a year of age, which is still reasonable. But if, however, he had gone undiagnosed for any longer than he had, the chances of him developing liver cancer or hepatocellular carcinoma would have been very high. Expanded newborn screening is a method where with a simple dried blood spot, one can actually pick up to 30 inborn errors of metabolism or genetic conditions. And this is done by a technology called tandem mass spectrometry, which was actually initially developed at Duke.
You could think of Joshua's diet like a vegetarian diet, a very restrictive vegetarian diet. There is absolutely no meat, no milk, no eggs, no cheese. With Joshua being picked up so late and his treatment was delayed, we added the metabolic formula when he was about a year old. So at that point he had already experienced other milks and formula and had his own taste developed. So now we were trying to introduce a metabolic formula, which was a very different taste to him, and he would not take it. He totally refused it. Also, because he was failing to grow and needed additional calories, he was brought in and a gastrostomy tube was placed. Therefore, we could feed him the additional calories he needed, but we could also get the metabolic formula in him, which was really life-saving for him. Joshua will be on that formula for life.
It's a fine balance. I think time is going to tell us. For the current time, Joshua's doing well. I think Joshua's extremely fortunate to have parents as committed as he has. He's energetic, bright. I think a very, very good role model or an example as he grows older to other patients.
Every father wants a son. You know, we love our little girls, you know, but every father wants a son. And, you know, to see him struggle was very difficult.
At night, you can't sleep. You just think, we go for tests and, it'll never end, I just hope it'll never end.
And he's meant to be here for a reason. And I want him to be around long enough so we find out what that reason is.
He just has to be. He just has to,
What else do I have left? But hope. Every father wants to see his son, grow up and become a man's man. And I want to see Josh do that. I want to see him have a family and just experience those things.
Think back to 7 years old and imagine growing up with no hamburgers and fries, no hot dogs or grilled cheese sandwiches, no ice cream. For the rest of his life, Joshua must eat, work, play, and find his place in this world with keen discipline. His father's support, his mother's instinct, no question will be there for him. But as he grows older, the burden will shift to his shoulders. His will be a life where boundaries cannot be crossed, navigating in a world that loves to eat, drink, and be merry. And yet, we count him a winner. The tyrosinemic children of the past, few as they are, have helped us profile this genetic killer and push back. And then, there are these first brave 7 years. The years of struggling, learning, and balancing. They've earned Joshua Holdner the right to hope, to live the life he was given, and find a place in our hearts as a true champion.